Hey guys, today I'm going to tell you exactly how to use the receipt capture function in QuickBooks Online. So this was a very requested video just to talk about receipt management and how to use that really nice function. My name is Morgan from finepoints.biz and I love helping you guys get organized. Don't forget to like this video if you're excited about learning how to manage your receipts as a bookkeeper, and subscribe down below for a new bookkeeping video every single week. So our first step we're going to talk about is how to get the receipts into QuickBooks Online. So there's a couple ways you can do it. The first one I'm going to show you is how to go into the app. So you go into the QuickBooks Online app and then you find the place where it says take a picture of the receipt, and then you just click that and then it opens a screen, and then you take your receipt and you scan it, and then it takes a picture of it. And it is best if you use like a darker background or some other kind of background. If you have a white receipt, just so it shows up well, it'll kind of like cut out with the little yellow box, it'll cut out, exactly the receipt size. And then you can approve it if it looks good. And then from there, it is waiting for you in your receipts area in QuickBooks, which I'll show you in a minute. And QuickBooks does say it takes like a few minutes to process. I forget if it's like 10-ish minutes or so, but usually it doesn't even take that long. Usually it's a lot quicker than that, because QuickBooks is going to go into that picture and they're going to read all of the pertinent information off of the receipt. And then I think I will make a part 2 of this video about how to manage receipts if you're working with paper receipts, or different options for that. So I'll link it down below when that is live. And some other ways that receipts can get into QuickBooks is you can browse from your computer browser. So if you're in your QuickBooks, if you're working in QuickBooks, you can just browse and find that receipt if you have it saved somewhere on your computer. Same with Google Drive. And then the way that I am using it the most is to have employees email the receipts to QuickBooks. So I'm never touching a paper receipt. So I use this primarily for my client who's a preschool, and so I have teachers that are buying different things. So what I did was I created within QuickBooks a special email address that they can send things to, and then let your employees know. So I let all the teachers know every time you buy something. So if you go to Michael's, if you go to Target, if you go to Costco, take a picture of that receipt and email it to this special email address. And then it's waiting for me right there in QuickBooks. And it did take a little bit of a learning curve. Some teachers still wanted to email the receipts to me, but I'm like, it's just as easy, just email it to this other email address that is like me, but it's through QuickBooks. And you'll be prompted to do this, but anyone who uses this email address will need to be added as a user. So if you just go to the gear and then manage users, you can see in there, you probably have a limit of how many users you can have. I'm not sure if this counts towards that count or not, but it should say all right in there. And you just email them a invitation, and then they go in and create a username so that QuickBooks knows that they are someone who can email those receipts. So there's a couple different workflows you can do once the receipts are in QuickBooks. I'm going to tell you what I do and why. Sometimes I'll just take a quick peek in the receipts tab, which you can find by going to banking and then receipts. And so sometimes I'll just look and see, okay, I have like 10 receipts in there. So I kind of make a mental note of that. What I really start out doing is I start out categorizing all of my expenses, because somewhat unfortunately, though that receipt is not going to match to the transaction until the transaction is already approved by you in QuickBooks. I'm not sure why they did it like that. I'm sure there's probably a logical reason. I go in and I approve all the categories for everything that's waiting for me in bank feeds. If you don't know what bank feeds are, check out my video. I have a video all about bank feeds as well. So once everything is in QuickBooks, then I kind of know what expenses we've had. We had like 3 at Target, we had 2 at Costco or whatever. At that point, I go into the receipts tab. And theoretically, all those receipts should have a match. So I have a screenshot here that shows you what it looks like when the receipt matches. So this is my list of receipts, and then see the little green button says one record found, and then I can click match. And then so that is going to basically attach a little picture of that receipt. It'll show as an attachment into QuickBooks. And again, like I mentioned, you can see on this screenshot that I haven't entered any of this information about these receipts. QuickBooks has looked at the receipt and read it, and like for the top one, it has the date, it knew it was from Costco, and it had the amount, it was a little off, but and then it kind of guessed on the category. And so at that point, so I have, in this example, I have one that found it, so it read all the information correctly, it knew it was from Safeway for $4.98. So that one I can just click match, and then I'm done with that one. So these other 2, I'm gonna have to do a little sleuthing to figure out where and to get the program to automatically match them. So usually what the problem is that it just didn't read it quite right. Maybe it didn't have the right amount or the right bank account. Sometimes, it'll like do like a subtotal or other totals, and QuickBooks thinks that that is the final amount when it's not really. It's not the amount that hit the bank. So I'm going to go into this Costco one. If you just click the review button, then it brings up this screen here. So then you can see I can change all of the information that I know is correct. So make sure it says Costco, I make sure the date and the description are correct and the amount is correct. And then you just click save. And then hopefully that one will pop up then with that little green box that says one receipt found. And I have had instances where even though to me all the information looks perfect and it looks right, I'm not able to get it to find it. So let me know in the comments if you have a good solution for that. What I end up doing is like downloading it and then like just attaching it manually. So finding that transaction and then just like basically browsing for that picture and attaching it by hand. So I'm not sure if there's like other ways to get it to match, but it's kind of hard to force it to match if it really won't do it. Okay, there's also an option to create an expense from that receipt. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later because I don't want to get confusing. So basically you're following my workflow. My teachers email me a receipt. It ends up in QuickBooks Banking. I categorize all the things in QuickBooks and then I match all of the receipts to there. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when there's an attachment and how I can check for expenses that do not have those things that are attached. So now I'm in my bank register. This is a screenshot of my bank register. It has, just all the payments, what's going on, they've been reconciled, and see the little paper clip, it tells you if there is an attachment. So these 4 things all have attachments, but then if you go a little farther down, you can see that this Safeway one does not have an attachment. So this is maybe not the best example because I just showed you that that did have a receipt that went with it and it matched. But in theory, if I ever have any of these that do not have the little 1 for 1 attachment, I pull a report of those and then I send that to the main teacher. And I'm like, these are the receipts that I'm missing. Do you guys have them? Like maybe they stuck them in their purse and they forgot to email them, or maybe they didn't get a receipt, or whatever the situation was. So hopefully they can find the receipt and send it to me. And if not, I do have a missing receipt form they can fill out and tell me what they bought and the amount. All right, and I said I would go back and talk about that create expense option. So a different, almost like reversed workflow that I think Hector Garcia said he does it the reverse of how I do it. So this option would be to start out with in the receipts tab and then create an expense with each of those receipts. You create like a whole new expense. So it's actually like creating a new transaction and putting it into QuickBooks. So it didn't come in through the bank feeds, it came in a different way than usual. So in this instance, you would make expenses for these, 10 receipts, the 10 receipts I talked about, and then you would do the opposite. Then you would go into the bank feeds and it would say match, 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 because the expense is already in QuickBooks with a receipt attached, and then you just need to match it. It would be similar to if you wrote a check in QuickBooks, it's like already in there waiting, it knows it's in there. And then when it comes in through the bank feeds, you match it. So then you would have the 2 expenses in there twice, which you don't want. So that is why there is that match feature where, it just makes it 1 transaction and which makes it accurate. So the reason I do not do it like this is because I just don't feel comfortable relying on QuickBooks reading the receipt well enough for me to create an entire expense out of it. Or even maybe, someone sent me an incorrect receipt or something. I don't know. I've had enough errors with them reading it that I don't want to create it that way. I just prefer to start with the bank feed, which I know is very reliable. So if you've used this function, let me know in the comments which you prefer. Which of those 2 workflows? Do you do the receipts first or do you do the bank feeds first? And do not forget to check out part 2 of this video where I talk about other ways to manage receipts outside of QuickBooks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks. Bye.